Okay, good morning. Is everybody ready for some interactivity? Yes? Okay. So I founded my company about 17 years ago on the power that everyone can be innovative. They just need to know how. And I have 20 people all around the world, in Singapore, in Frankfurt, in London, across the United States, that go around to companies and teach executives how to think differently and embrace big change. So today, what I want to do is something really different. And I thought what we could do is go through about 300 PowerPoint slides. Does that work for you guys? Yeah. Some people are saying, yes, it does. You have to leave. You have to leave. No, what I want to do is I don't want you sitting in your seats. I want you on the edge of them, and in fact, to be able to get up out of them. So if everybody can do me a favor, even in Tampa and even in London, and hello to everyone remotely, could you please stand up? Stand up, put your coffee down. I'm going to advise you, put your coffee down. Do me a favor and raise the hand that you write with. Raise the hand that you write with. Okay, good. This is also the hand that you high five with. High five 5 people not sitting next to you right now. Let's start doing it. All right, say hello. Good morning. Good morning. Let's do it. Collaboration. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. 5 people. Okay, there's some inappropriate things happening in the back, so let's sit down. I don't want to have any sexual harassment suits here. Inappropriate touching. So I know that that's just a fun thing to do, but it's interesting. That has a purpose, right? There's been science that's shown that when you get 2 different groups of people in a room, right, same level from the organization, given the same challenge, and you give them time to brainstorm, they all come up with good ideas. But the room that starts by doing something different, getting up, shaking it up, doing a little icebreaker, the ones that start by not working on the problem that you're there to do, come up with the better ideas, the great ideas. So if you want to do something differently and think differently, shake it up. And it can be something simple as a high five. It can be a quick icebreaker. If you're not thinking about the problem right away, you're probably going to get better answers. Okay? Now, what I did is I wrote a book last year called Kill the Company. And the idea is not to kill the company, but actually to create change and be proactive about your deconstruction before someone does it to you. And the reason I wrote this book is because I think that we are approaching change all wrong. I think that we make it way too complex. I think we put the things in place to help us innovate are the very things that hold us back from doing it in the first place. If I ask you what you do all day long, the things that you do every day, what would you say that they are? Just shout it out to me. What do you do all day long? Emails? Meetings? Phone calls? Stop. I travel around the world, right? I went to 19 countries last year. And I speak to thousands of people. And I ask them, what do you do all day? And the first 2 things out of their mouth, regardless of level, country, culture, industry, size, are meetings and emails, right? But what's their company charter? To be innovative, right? It's not possible. So I think in order to change, we have to stop doing things. We have to kill, we have to simplify, and we have to think differently. But it made me think about, when I did research for my book, why is change so hard? And I want to tell you a quick story. These are my kids. That's Jack. Oh, I know, they're so cute, aren't they? I love them. That's Jack, he's 11. And that's Lindsay, she is almost 7 years old. Going on 15, of course. And what's fun for me, because I travel so much, is I now take them with me. And last year, I took my son to Spain. He's a big Barca fan. My apologies to people on the phone. But he's a huge Barca fan. He loves soccer, football. And we were going to Spain. We were in Madrid and we were in Barcelona, and we had a great time. But what was interesting to me is how my son reacted in different situations. And he would see something different. He would see something new. He would eat a different food. He would experience a different cultural ceremony. And he would call me aside and he would say, Mom, that's weird. And I say, why do you think that's weird? And he said, because that's not how we do it. And I said, Jack, do you know that when they see, someone from another country sees how you do things, they think you're weird? And of course, his reaction was, no, right? That's not possible. And I said, if you're going to travel with me, you can't use the word weird. You have to use the word different. And what was amazing, the next trip we took, which was to the UK, every time we went and we saw something that was very new, he would say, Mom, that's different. And his mindset was completely changed. He was open to possibilities versus looking at things as right or wrong. So I'd like to get us in the mindset for change. How many people here think that they are good with change? Just raise your hand. Okay, this is an honest group. When I get executives in the room, all the hands go up. They're always good with change, right? Well, what I want to do is I want to see how good you are with identifying signals for change. Now, a little thing you don't know about me is my background is that I'm a futurist. Do you know what a futurist is? Okay, it's somebody that talks about possible, probable, and preferable scenarios for the future. Right? The future is not written in stone. You can shape it. That's how change happens. Do you know how you become a futurist? You just say that you are one. That's what you do. I'll be long gone before you can prove me wrong. No, you can study it. There's actually master's programs. A lot of my guys that are futurists on staff, they taught at the University of Houston and Clear Lake. There's opportunities in Manoa and Leeds and Singapore. It's a scientific body of study. And what I want to do today is play a futurist game with you. Would that be okay if I do that? All right, it's called In the News. And what this is it talks about different headlines that are happening in the news that may or may not be true. And I want to see how good you are with identifying these signals for change. I'm going to read a headline to you, and if you think it's true, you're going to stand up and give me jazz hands, okay? And if you think it's false, just stay seated. For those of you remotely, if you're by yourself, it could be awkward, but play along, okay? So here we go. You're going to stand up if you think it's true. I'll tell you when. Stay seated if it's false. Signal for change number 1. All right, this is a fun one. Okay? Jawbone and Viacom are developing augmented audio experiences for 2014's Video Music Awards, the VMAs, because they want to better measure behavior and audience engagement, right? Behavioral change is the future. Earpieces are going to deliver enhanced audio layers, both on stage and backstage. And wearables on your wrist, like Jawbones, as well as earpieces, are going to measure clapping and dance movements. If you think it's true, stand on up and give me some jazz hands. Now you gotta stand. You gotta stand. And not this. This is weird. Not different, weird. All right, jazz handing it? Okay. Stay standing. Stay standing. Stay jazz hands too. I want you to look ridiculous. Okay? Now, people standing, great. People seated, I want you to look at these people. These are the visionaries, right? These are the thought leaders. These people are wrong. Sit down. It's false. You guys, Keynote 101, you never start with the true, okay? Never start with the true. It's false, but why did you stand up, right? Because it could be true, right? It's very possible. It's certainly probable. And of course, for Viacom, it's preferable. The future is not about structural change. It's behavioral change. That's what we want about data. There's a lot of structured data. 80% of the world's data is unstructured. How do we capture behavior and sentiment? So what I want you to think about here is wearables. Okay? How do we think about appropriate technology beyond the second screen? Appropriate technology. Let's do another one. Are you ready? Now you're feeling bad about yourself, right? Like, oh, I'm not so smart. Okay, here we go. Here's our second one. True or false? In Seattle, their famous 5 Point Cafe has posted on its Facebook page a ban on wearing Google Glass. It's for losers. You can't wear Google Glass within the bar. Stand up if you think someone posted a ban on Google Glass already, right? Jazz hands. Now, see, you guys are afraid. You're kind of jazz hands. It's not jazz hands or jazz hands. Jazz hands. Okay. You think it's true? Let's see. Ban? Is it a ban? Is it a ban? It's true. Well done. Okay. Oh, yay, I'm so smart. Good. Okay, I like it. It is absolutely true. Okay, now what's interesting about this is a lot of people got a lot of discussion on Facebook. Why not post a manifesto? Why have no Google Glass? Why not no phones? People are jerks on phones. How do we get culture and society and their reactions around technology? So this is what I want you to think about is social norms. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So how do you anticipate shifting social norms around these technologies? Do you want to be associated with them? And how can you play in this space with appeal and not offense? Okay, very important. I'll give you one more. Here we go. Kickstarter. Everyone knows Kickstarter, crowdsourcing group. Discovery Channel is aiming to eliminate all their program development costs, right? Having them funded simply by fans and through crowdsourcing. Pretty cool. They recently posted a reality TV project on Kickstarter. to get it funded by people that thought it was cool. It reached a funding goal of $2 million in less than 10 days and had over 3,200 backers. Come on up if you think it's true. Give me some jazz hands. This guy's confident. Look, he was like, I'm right up in, shaking it, right? You think it's true. Kickstarter funded, I love it. He's like, yes, I'm going for it. Like, Price is Right. Here we go. Here we go. No, it's false. Sorry. Okay. See, true, false, true, false. See, it's like statistics here. You guys are finance people, right? It's false. But what I love about this is it absolutely, I think, will be happening. It already is. I went on to Kickstarter, right, where you can post a project, start a project is what you do, and you can get it funded, right? The barriers for funding are gone in most places. You can get money fairly quickly, and famous people will do it this way too. Indiegogo, Kickstarter, these are just a few of the programs that are already posted there. Programs, comedy shows, documentaries, movies, and they are setting records for getting funded. What's interesting about crowdsourcing, is that it's not about being able to get money. What it does better than if you look at the financial landscape, like with VCs or private equity, is that it tells you demand, right? This isn't about getting money. This is about how quickly is there a demand for that product. And that's what you can't typically tell in the markets. So here's what I want you to think about. New business models. What new avenues can you leverage to minimize costs and gauge demand? Can you imagine a future where you aren't just getting people off of YouTube and saying, I'll take that video and that video and that video, but actually having other people pay for stuff and being able to tell what the ratings will be before it even starts development? That's cool. Okay, one more. I want you to imagine with me. Can you imagine if Kickstarter transformed your industry? I think it will. Can you imagine if Twitter did? It already is. Can you imagine if Novartis did? I can, because I work with them. And they talk about how in the future, they can't be about drugs. They can't. They have to be about services. They have to be about hardware, right? If medicine actually, if everything can be curable, because we know the personal genome, everything is about early stage and prevention, and disease goes away. What do? They get into therapies around your brain. They get into cogniceuticals. They get into programming that can help you be healthier. And maybe they would acquire you. Oh my God, that'll never happen, would it? You can actually be transformed. Now, how do you detect change like this to start thinking, oh my God, mind-blowing stuff? Well, let me tell you how futurists do it. This is my only kind of eye chart that I promise I'll have for today. It doesn't get more complicated than this. So as futurists, what do? We look at emerging issues, weak signals, the things that go boop, 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 the boring but important stuff. And how trends start is not how they have an outcome. And let me give you an example. Usually, on the left-hand side here, this is the degree of public awareness, how much people are talking about it. And on the bottom is basically how many people talk about it over time, number of Google hits. So as things progress, right, more people talk about it, there's more news about it, there's more noise. So it begins as something emerging. There's no term for it. There's no acronym yet. You don't hear about it at cocktail parties. Then it becomes framed, right? People start to invest. You hear about it. There's investment, there's scientists, there's labs. Things are starting to happen. Then it's on the cover of Time magazine. It is mainstream then. When you guys got it on the front of Time, everyone should be talking about it already. And then, of course, it's resolved, right? That's where you have regulators. You have people on the Hill that are trying to manage this. There are rules, there are handcuffs. There's very little wiggle room to play. Now, how has it happened for you recently? Here's how it's happened. In 2004, there was this little boring but important news bit in the Harvard Crimson about this dating site called FaceMash. Now it's being called Facebook. There are hundreds of people participating. Hundreds, right? And somebody went to their boss and said, we got to get in on this thing. It wasn't called social media yet. None of that was happening. There wasn't that term. He went into his boss and he said, boss, we got to do this. And the boss said, get back to work. Right? We got quarterly earnings to make. Shut up. Let's get back to work. Then in 2007 on TechCrunch, right, there was a platform. There was the big guy, MySpace, and this pesky thing called Facebook, the anti. It is now called social media. There is a term for it. There are players, there are investors, and there's a lot of hype. We're on the hype cycle, right? Then what happens? Uh-oh, too late. This is when I talk to millennials, I say, you know what just happened here? Your mom just friended you on Facebook, right? Game is over. The game is over, okay? That's that scary moment where I'm hoping like my child accepts my invitation and he's like, how do I do it but block her? That kind of thing, right? And then, this is what's happening. This is not about social media. This is not about connections. This is about big data. And this is about who owns it, how transparent is it anonymous or not? Is it structured or unstructured? Who gets it, who sells it, who wins? Even bigger right now is that they're talking about, excuse me, in a lot of law firms, and certainly in a lot of in neuroscience, if we can eventually not just upload, all our financial data, all our behavioral data, but we can actually upload our memories, don't laugh, upload our memories and really ultimately know who we are. Who not just gets our data when we die, but gets our memories, and who gets what. Can you imagine? Oh, mom gave me early childhood, but you got all the holidays, right? These are the kinds of things. Who gets what? Why does this matter to you? Down here at the bottom, this is where you are influencing change. You're influencing it. At the top, you are taking orders. Now, where do you usually play? Most people will tell me, this is my favorite, well, we're usually around 2007, 2008. No, you're not. You're usually much later than that. You have pockets that are early, but most of you operate too late. And you have to think about, do you want to operate with guardrails or with handcuffs? And there's a difference. And that's about being open to change. Novartis buying you. So, okay, what holds us back? I did a whole study on thinking and change and what the issue is. And there was a great study that came out of the Creative Problem Solving Institute that said at any one time, when we get in a group together, we are doing one of three things. And this is what makes thinking so interesting. I want to see what you're doing right now. One of three things. 18% of you right now are laser focused on what I'm saying. Raise your hands. 18%, you guys are liars. Half of you in this room have raised your hand. You're liars, and I love you for that. Okay, 25% of you, 25%, are having an unrelated thought or sexual fantasy, okay? Up, get it up, I love it. It's always one guy in the front, always, always. And usually it's awkward. Oh, 4, nice, okay, yeah. Or it's always like the CEO who's like, oh, I'll do it, I'll raise my hand. Like, call me later. Okay, here we go. And then there's 57% of you that are doing something called on-demand thinking. I don't even have to tell you what it is. You know what I'm talking about. In and out thinking, right? It's why thinking has become a daring act within companies, right? It's too hard to do. In and out thinking is, you're listening to me, you're also checking your iPhone, she's talking, blah, 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 sexual fantasy. And she's boring again, right? That's how it works. That's the world that we live in. So I know that change has to happen simply because we live in a world of on-demand thinking, and I don't think that's going to change. So we know companies that have refused to change. We know them, right? I'm not going to challenge the status quo. Everything's just fine. I'm a little complacent until one day, how'd that happen? But there are many companies that are big, bigger than you, that know, and they have more money than you, that they don't have to change, but they are going to, because they want to be able to influence rather than take orders. And here are some examples. So the first one, Shell. Right? We work with oil and gas companies. They're incredible. Shell, in their words, they have more money than God. Their words, they're an incredible organization. They take a lot of risks, and they know, at least in my lifetime, there will be plenty of oil. It will not run out. It will not for a very, very long time. However, that's not a socially responsible thing to do, and it's also not a good business thing to do. So they are shifting, becoming a company that once was extracting energy to growing it. They no longer hire chemists, they have to hire biologists. There are not enough of them. This is a problem. The future is HR. The future is always about people and demographics. The second thing, let's talk about BMW. Right? BMW, GM, all the big car companies, but especially people like this. They're looking at how do I redesign cities, not just redesign cars. By the year 2040, most people, over 60% of the world, will live in big cities. Right? We do not have the infrastructure right now to support them, and we certainly cannot have everyone owning cars. It cannot happen. If you are a car company, you are peeing in your pants right now. What are you going to do? That's your business. You make cars. You become a mobility company. You make mobility systems. I don't want to make cars. I want to get a piece of yours. and I'm going to help you rent it out by the hour. Right? I'm going to work with MIT, who makes the City Car, which is a collapsible car that could sell for hundreds of dollars, and when you get out of it, it collapses down to 1/5 of a regular parking space. That's the future. Okay, and then finally, publishing. Like it or not, publishing has been having a hard time. I don't know if you knew that. So, not to tell you what you already know, but if you were Macmillan, something I thought they did that was very smart, you hire a VC, you give them $100 million, and they can only acquire companies that will put them out of business. Okay, that's good thinking. So, what are these companies doing? They're practicing proactive obsolescence. Proactive obsolescence, right? Don't kill your company, literally, but figuratively. So where do we go from here? What trends are going to affect your current business model, right? And how can you make them a competitive advantage? And I'm just going to go through a couple things that I think are pretty cool, and I hope you'll check out. So, first thing, you've heard about big data. Has anyone here heard about big data? I'm totally kidding. Who's sick of big data already, right? It's gone through the hype cycle, but now it's about being practical and being applied. Personal data, right, the quantified self, being able to understand all the things about me behaviorally and wanting to make myself better is what's happening. And you're doing that through all kinds of things known or unknown. There's a prediction that we have in futurist circles that the cover of Time Magazine's Person of the Year could be the quantified self one year, right? It is not a singular person, it is all of us. But what makes it sexy is something more. It's the connected devices. Right? Personal data is all separate right now. It's stuff that happens to you every day. It's why companies and silos don't talk. But once it becomes connected through devices, then it becomes real. So it's things like this guy here. He's wearing something called Melon, which is a neuro hardware device, which is going to be the future, by the way, especially for boomers who want to keep their brain science going. And this can tell you locomotor activity, focus, and it alerts you, not through a buzz. You're not going to get buzzed if you wore it, but through an app alert to let you know when you're more focused, when you're distracted, and how to improve your brain performance. So connected devices and personal data, this is about behavior. And trust me, people like pharmaceuticals are watching this kind of stuff. Cogniceuticals are the future. Now, big data for you, what does it mean? What it means is it's not what's going on in front of you, it's what's going on behind the scenes that matters, right? It's not what people watch, it's what they say about what they watch. And you know the majority of people that watch TV are also having a device in front of them and they're retweeting and you know all that stuff. But what's interesting is the number one person or type of person entertainment companies are saying they need to hire are data scientists, right? The people that make those cool infographics, that's the future. People think in pictures, not in words. And there's a big field of study right now that says in the future, we're not going to teach people how to type. All they're going to do is be able to see it, watch it, and say it, right? Words matter less, visuals matter more. And by looking at things like this, which you've probably seen this graphic before, this was something Viacom did a while ago with MTV, and they were talking about how you could actually watch live, not just the show, but actually on the website, bursts of bubbles that were happening over time, depending on who was on stage and people wearing wearables, who was more popular at the time and who was getting more buzz. So you could see live not just the show, but the pulse of what all your buddies were thinking and saying. That is data science, and that's big data. That drives what you develop. Now, in addition to that, what do you care about with big data? And I apologize for the words on the screen, but there's lots of good nuggets. In the future, what financial guys want to know isn't just ROI, but TOI, time to insight. That's what big data is. His time to insight's incredible. Their earnings are going to go up. They have a lot of wisdom. And you're not going to talk about what happened. That's what you do now. What happened? Or what could happen, but what should happen. You're not going to predict, you're going to prescribe. And that's where you need to go with your programming. It's things like getting really responsive. Right now, I don't watch TV, the TV watches me. I don't read a book, the book reads me. Right? And things get really personal around behavior. So for example, Progressive Insurance, they just launched insurance in certain areas that's all about how well you drive. And I don't mean did you not get any tickets, but in real time, how well do you drive? And I'm going to give you real discounts or penalties based on real behavior. Right? Big data, it watches you. Now what's interesting about this is everything is about adaptive media. So if this decade's term was social, the next decade's term is adaptive. It is adaptive, it adapts to you. So while you're talking and listening, all the media is going to be served up in a way that they think, based on algorithms, is exactly what you need. Who here has heard of a company called MindMeld? Okay, you don't count in the back. He's seen my presentations in AV 15 times. Okay, a few of you have. Do you use MindMeld? Ish. Okay, so this is a Silicon Valley startup that was just started less than a year ago, and the idea is adaptive media, content, and context. And I'm going to play a video for you. This is all based on listening. Watch in the corner.
Mind meld is a new way to talk with your friends on your iPad.
How's it going? Hey, how's it going?
I can't believe we're going to be out there in less than a week.
I was thinking if the weather's good, we could go to Muir Woods or Stinson Beach.
As you talk, Mind Meld listens. That way, anything you need is just a swipe away. Mind Meld shows you things that might be related from Facebook or across the web, like pictures, videos, and articles.
Where should we have dinner?
Have you been to the slanted door at the ferry building?
An update as the conversation changes.
It looks perfect.
Since Mind Meld puts all of this at your fingertips,
is easy.
Drag anything onto the sharing panel, and everyone in your conversation can see it instantly. Mind Meld intuitively organizes everything that's been shared, so you can easily find it later.
Talk to you later.
Mind Meld, a smarter way to have conversations on your iPad.
Okay, so some of that when I see it, I go, meh, that's obvious, right? Some of that's obvious. It's going to be, it's watching me, it's hearing me is really what it's doing. And it's serving up different things based on, it's pulling all kinds of my personal data, my friends' personal data, and collectively assuming what my peers like and giving me an experience. Take it a step further, not just around entertainment. I'm going to take it more personal. I've just recovered from cancer. Not literally, I'm giving you this story. I've just recovered from cancer. Okay? Let's say I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I want to talk with my other friend about how I have the best recovery. And I have a conversation with them, and literally online, I am having things served up to me live, video, pictures, conversations, community groups right there that can help me in terms of preserving my treatment. Context for content. That's the future of entertainment. And how can you make it more personal? All right, let's make it more fun. What about ecosystems? Here's where you have to start thinking differently. And this is hard because you just want your job to be simpler, right? You just want to do a product. You want to do a show. You want to do a system. Well, the idea is everything's an ecosystem. Everything is. And you have to figure out whoever gets connected first wins. And by connected, I mean with the partners and the people that can give you the best solution. Whoever gets more connected wins. So the idea is, what's the ecosystem of hardware that you need to be associated with or technologies? And what's the augmented environment that people will soon live in? So if you remember Total Recall, get ready. So here's the thing. So I was just with Volkswagen in Dusseldorf, and what's really interesting is this is already happening. So you go to a showroom, right, and it used to be the sexy car with the booth babe there that's hanging out and showing you, and wouldn't this look great in your driveway? Well, maybe I can help you with that right away. Here it is on a stick, a projection system. You go home, close the garage door because you want privacy when you're looking at your new car. And all of a sudden, you put the stick in, and boom, it transforms the garage, and there is that digitally, the car sitting right there, and you're thinking, that does look sweet. I'm going to get that car. Or maybe it's you're standing on the platform in Chicago, and you want to be able to order your food, and with my phone right there, by the way, we no longer buy ingredients, we buy everything prepackaged. Right? The issue we have right now in a lot of healthcare and obesity is not that we don't have time to cook, we don't have time to shop. That's the issue. And so what I can do if I'm standing on the platform there is I have a bloop augmented environment. All the screens go from running the timetables to, well, that's Peapod, our version of Fresh Direct. They're older than Fresh Direct. And I can actually pick premium meals right there that will be delivered to my door in an hour or less. That's sweet. Change my environment, and that's only put up at rush hour commuter times. Or even better, who knows Microsoft's Illumi Room? Illumi Room? This is something they got a patent on earlier this year, and the idea is how do we take Xbox technology and actually transform the environment around us to be more digitally enhanced, right? They really missed out on mobile. So the idea is how can we take gaming technology and make it our future? And let me show you how it might play out for gaming, but think about how it could be in other industries too. So I'm gonna roll this one. Give it a second just to start up. Xbox right behind him on that console.
Xbox big, go big.
idea is projection systems. And so if you thought you had a hard time getting your kids off of games now, good luck. You're dead now. But what's interesting about this isn't about like living in the world, right, of Call of Duty, of COD, or whatever you want to talk about. This is about not having to go into a scary hospital room anymore and transforming the environment for children so they can have therapies that make sense. This is about going on a vacation in your home without ever leaving your house, right? This is where you can have digitally enhanced experiences brought to you. Education from other countries brought into the classroom, literally, even in poorer schools that can't afford that field trip. These are the things and the enhancements and the entertainment that you could get into that doesn't just become fun, but does good. That's cool. So let me talk to you about a couple more things. Why does change seem so hard? Change like this is bigger stuff. And my thought is a couple things. The first thing is the only thing more naturally resistant to change than a human being, and we do push back on things a lot, is a company. Together, it's harder than we're individual, right? You want to make the change, but it's so hard, right? There's rules, there's procedures. My boss is a jerk. I can't believe this. How do I get that? Not here, of course. How do I get this done? So the reason is we value the wrong things. I think with leadership right now, we are not managing. We're not leading, we're managing. Leaders today are brought up to be what I call professional skeptics. You can tell me more likely what's wrong than what's right and possible. The other thing is thinking has become a daring act, right? We value process over culture and doing over thinking. And I work with some scientists at 3M, and they're really great guys. They're very well patented, they're so smart, and they don't think they're very innovative, by the way, which kills me, just kills me. And we went out to dinner one night, and this one neuroscientist said to me, he's the one that gave me the term, thinking is a daring act. And he said, you know, Lisa, the brain is the most important and amazing organ. It starts working from the very moment you wake up in the morning, and it doesn't stop until the very second you set foot into your office. And I said, so true, right? Ha ha ha, we laugh because it's so true, oh my God, right? You just shut it down. You shut it down. And this is why. Here's some interesting things. This is what you're doing all day. These aren't additive. Writing reports, meetings, and emails. So I'm going to go forward to the next thing. Are you open to change? I'm going to give you a quick quiz. I'm going to give you 8 questions. If you have paper around, you can write this down. And if you don't, you can add this in your head. I want to see how many out of 8 you're going to answer yes to. If when you hear me read the statement, the answer is maybe, that's a no, okay? Now think about this from the group that you operate within every day. Not large or Time Warner, but the group that you operate within every day. Here we go. Are you open to change? Statement number 1, we push the boundaries of what's possible. We think and imagine how to apply trends to our business to stay ahead. I'm sure all of you actually could give a yes on this one. Let's go to number 2. Our employees are comfortable asking provocative, or I'll even say uncomfortable questions, unsettling questions, to stretch our group's thinking. Number 3, our teams apply best practices to offbeat sources to creatively solve problems. Offbeat, not mainstreams, not just what your competitors are doing. Number 4, our people can think on their feet, and they nimbly change direction when faced with unforeseen challenges. They are agile. Agile's a big word. Number 5, keep adding your yeses in your head. Our employees do not easily give up on their beliefs or ideas when they encounter adversity or disbelief. They see them through. That's resilience. Resilience. Number 6, we push for continual improvement even if what we're doing is already successful. Number 7, failure or smart risk-taking are celebrated. Efforts do not have to be successful to be recognized. Right? That's smart risk-taking. And here's the last one. There's an active culture of dialogue between departments, functions, and levels within our organization. Add up your yeses for me. How did you do? 1 to 2, a little cautious. Okay? 3 to 5, you're a risk taker, you're optimistic, and we usually have those groups within an organization. 6 to 8 is what I call the give me your resume category. Very few people get these unless I'm with a group of investment bankers, and then I'm always right up there. Visionaries, market makers. What do you think the average score is when I give this quiz all around the world? Just shout out. What's the number? 2, 3, 4? It's 3. It's 3, and I think it's for a couple reasons. People are harder on themselves when it comes to innovation than they should be. It's not about coming up with a new iPod every day. There are incremental things that you can do to start shaking up the status quo. And the second thing is you don't have time. That's your biggest barrier, is time. So what are we going to do about it? We got to have a better change approach. And what I want to show you is a few tools in the last few minutes that I have for how you can get this going. Now, the story I have around change that I talk about in my book was done with a bank down on Wall Street. And they actually were the ones that helped us come up with the 12 tools I have in my book around change and simplifying. And what we did is we gave them a simplified version of that quiz to actually whittle down to the 12 people that would be part of this change program. And this bank had come to us and they said, in their words, our culture sucks. It really sucks. We've been through so many change programs. People are tired of change. How do we create a better change program? And I said, maybe you don't. Maybe you do it with them. And so the 12 people that we actually had take the quiz, they weren't the highest ranking people. You know, they didn't get 8s. A lot of them got 3s, right? You don't want the people that are automatically the mavericks because people can't relate to them all the time. And they got in a room with us and we said, we're going to create a change program over 8 weeks. We're going to try things. A lot of them are going to suck. They're going to fail. And some of them, the ones that are the winners, are the ones that will really tighten and proliferate throughout the organization. So we asked people, how many people here are glad to be here? How many people want to be part of this program? Only half of them raised their hand. They were nervous. And I said, how many people here are open to change? And they all raised their hand. And we said, get in a cab. And we took them up to Grand Central, and 3 of them went downstairs with me outside the Oyster Bar, and the rest of them went upstairs around the rotunda there with journals. And we placed them around there, and they had to sit there and wait to see what happened. They were going to capture the moment. So the 3 people downstairs with me grabbed out of the bag wigs, and they put them on. And the idea was, what does it feel like to be a signal for change, and how comfortable can you get with it? Right? Because if you're going to lead change, you're going to be different. How will it feel to stand out? And this guy here on the screen, this is Brian. He is in charge of risk analytics. He is minutes away from retiring, and he is so pissed right now. I can't believe this happened to me, right? I can't believe I'm doing this. I don't like this. And so it was 2 women, Maddie, Andrea, and then Brian. Maddie went up with her wig. She had this funky wig from Ricky's and went up around the rotunda, and we're journaling what's happening. She comes back down, meets me outside the Oyster Bar. So excited, right? So fun. Second person, Andrea goes up, does the walk around the rotunda, comes back down. Great, a little nervous. Brian goes up, that kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe this is about to happen, in his khakis and blue blazer. He goes up there, and I'm waiting, and we're waiting, and no one knows where Brian went. So I radioed up to Ethan, and I said, where is he? And he said he's going around a 3rd time. He went around and around. And actually, this woman right here, she asked him for his wig, which I thought was kind of cool. And he came back down, and I said, he's walking down the ramp. He's got a really different kind of saunter. And I said, how was it? And he said, what was great is I realized nobody cared. And I said, this is my favorite, because when I give this speech outside of New York, I said, of course nobody cared. It's New York, right? Like, I'll give you my wig if you give me your wig. And so then we went out to the bar, and we talked about it. And the idea around change was through this program is we realized it's not what you think. And let me tell you, the first thing is that it can't be put on people. It's got to be created by them. Right? People don't want to be told how to change. They want to do it with you. The second thing is it can't just come from the top down. It has to, but where it really proliferates is from the middle out. Right? The people that are respected by the top down and are aspired to by the bottom up. That's me. The third thing is it's not a 12-step program. No one wants more stuff. It's a toolkit that you can draw on when you need it. And then the final thing is, it can't be complex. It has to be simple. And so we came up with all these tools, and I'm going to give you a couple right now. Will you please think about the one that you would use leaving here today? Just one. Okay? Here we go. Now, the tools are designed to help shake up your thinking. To tell you why you need to shake up your thinking, I need to do a little math with you. How many people here are good at math? It's a good majority. How many people can add 2 numbers together? Okay. Anyone not raise their hand yet? We're going to add some numbers together. And what we're going to do is do it together out loud. So when I say 2, you'll say 2. And when I say 2 again, you'll say 4. All right. I'm going to start with you, and then I'm going to kind of segue into the background. Are you ready? Are you ready? Yes. Good. Here we go. Out loud and proud. Together, 1,000. Let's do it together again. 1, 2, 3. 1,000. Let's add it up. 1,040. 2,040. You got it. 2,007. You're good. 3,007. Keep going. This is good. 3,090. Good. 4,090. Excellent. 5,000. Sorry, hold on. You told me these guys were smart. This is finance. Tax. Let's do it again. All right. My favorite is every time I also do it with groups, whether it's finance or accounting, I always get a few people, 6,000. You're so confident. I can't wait for earnings to come out, right? Okay, what happened? What happened? Right? This is what makes you really good as leaders make you really bad as innovators. Really bad, right? Because you rely on assumptions. Your job is to eliminate risk, to find patterns, to get to shortcuts, to be efficient. And so we all marched together right off the cliff, right? That's what happens, right? You look for change. So what makes you really good as a leader makes you bad as an innovator. Who usually gets this right? Who usually gets it right? Kids, up to 10 years old. Up to 10 years old. Of course, we start pattern recognition early. We all know that, people that have kids in nursery school and in kindergarten. But up to about age 10, we still look at things in terms of individual packets of information, right? It's usually before standardized testing happens. But I'm not going to get into that right now. Okay? So it's before multiple choice, right or wrong. And there's a great phrase we talk about, that creativity is one of the few things that we don't grow into, but we grow out of. The second thing that happened here was you follow the extrovert. And this is especially true in Western cultures, right? Everyone's going along, and a few of you said 45,000. Now, this is an issue. Well, we're stereotyping, right? For people that tend to be introverted. More of the world is introverted than extroverted. Yep. And a lot of the places that I work with that are heavily restricted, these are engineers, these are scientists, people in early clinical development, they tend not to be the extroverts. And so this happens. 5,000. How do we shake up assumptions? I'm going to give you a few ways. Okay, the 3 tools I promised you, quickly. Provocative inquiry. One of the questions on that quiz was you can ask unsettling questions. I bet you don't. I bet you get in a room and you have a brainstorm and someone says, who's got an idea? Terrible, right? And you guys are more creative than 99% of the clients I work with, right? That's your job. But you fall into a rut when you think you're in a groove. There's a big difference between groove and rut. So what are the ways that you could ask better questions? Let me show you. And they're called killer queries. So next time you get into a room, don't ask the obvious, ask the unsettling. And here's some ones that are good. So rather than saying, what's good or bad about our products or services? Boring. Instead, why don't you say something like, if we won an outstanding service award, what would it celebrate and why? Oh, that's more fun. Or, what question would you love to ask your customers or competitors, but are too scared or embarrassed to ask? Ooh, good question. How about this one? You typically say, where should we improve? I don't know, where do you want to get started? Right? Boring. Instead, what if you said, what suffers more breakdowns? Our services, our process, or our people? Why? Ooh, accountability. How about this? My favorite question of the year. How would you describe or change the company culture? Right? I don't know. I answer it every year on the employee survey and nothing changes, right? Sorry, nothing ever changes, right? So instead, this is my favorite. These 2 are from Brian, Bozowig Brian, right? Okay, here we go. You've just written a tell-all book about your organization. What secrets does it reveal? Ooh, I'd love to answer that. Right? My employees in the back cannot answer that question. Here we go. If we could undergo a corporate culture exorcism, what 3 evil customs should be eliminated? right? That's more fun, all right? If you want better answers, ask better questions. So here's your think about. What provocative question would you love to ask but are afraid to do it? Okay, here's your second tool. This is around simplification. The favorite tool of all the ones that we do universally around the world is called kill a stupid rule. How many people here would love to kill a stupid rule at work? Come on, give it up. You know it. So we talk about killing stupid rules, and the idea is if you could kill 2 rules that would make you more effective at work or more innovative, what would they be or why? And if you can't kill them, right, because they're government regulated, or it would be illegal, you'd go to jail, how would you change them? Right? You got to put some cons, especially when you're working like manufacturing, pharma, rockets. We do a lot of defense work too, right? Planes got to fly, rockets got to go, drugs got to heal. They can't kill people. So once you put those boundaries down, you give people, pair them up, 15 minutes. And at the end of 15 minutes, you say, does anybody want to share their rule? And they say no because they want to keep going for another hour. Right? They have so many rules that they want to kill. But then when you ask to debrief them, and you say, what'd you come up with? You know what you find? What they came up with are not rules. They are policies, processes, meetings, procedures, annoyances. They are things you can get rid of now. Many of them are quick wins. It is cathartic. Talk to Shelley Brindle about it. I did it in this room live with 200 and some people, and you should see the stuff we came up with. And she killed stuff on the spot. Totally killer. Now, here's how we did it. And I did this once too, I'll tell you this is Ken Frazier, right? He's the CEO of Merck. He's a lawyer. He did the whole Vioxx trial. His job is usually to get rid of risk, and he's saying to his people, come on, let's kill some rules. Cool stuff. You want to signal change? Get people to kill things. What you do is you get everybody's rules, and you say, place your bets. Write the one rule that you really want to kill or change on a Post-it. The one. And I want you to put it up on this grid. We're going to prioritize now. We're going to see some pulse. And up on this grid is how easy or difficult it is to implement that rule you want to kill. And on the bottom is what kind of impact it would have on your business. Low impact or high impact. And of course, everybody puts their rules in the top right quadrant. It'd be easy to kill these things, and it would have a high impact. Why? Because they probably aren't their rules. Right? They're probably, if you're the leader, they're probably yours. Your stupid, stupid rules. So Ken stands up here, much like Shelley did, right? And you go up there and you look for the themes. Oh, I see expense reports. Oh, yeah, procurement. We all know how procurement is, right? The tech guys are always doing something stupid. So like, there's always, and the lawyers, trust me, they get their fair share up there too. But there's usually things you can get rid of, that monthly operating report, that weekly status, and you can kill things right away. Well, Ken stood up here. Ken Frazier, not here, but he stood up with his top 100, and he looked at this stuff and he said, okay, these things are easy to do, and they have a high impact on the business. You guys are my leaders. Why haven't you killed them? Ooh, accountability, that sucks, right? And what they did right away is they left, and he said, I want everybody in their group to go back into your business units, and you're going to hold a kill a stupid meeting. And you're going to kill as many meetings as you can, and your goal is to kill 50% of the meetings that you're stuck in all the time. I'm tired of hearing about it. The average group killed 20% of their meetings. And he said, the great thing about it was most people said when they went in, we can kill stupid rules, we can kill stupid meetings, but you cannot kill stupid people. It's the only thing, right? You can't do it. And that's fine, all right? So think about this. If you could kill any 2 rules that are holding you back, what would they be and why? Okay, final one. You should not go it alone. I talked about the ecosystem, right? If you want to mitigate risk, share it, and you should. So there's a tool we use called Within, Adjacent, Beyond. Within is where everyday stuff happens. You're going to pair with other business units, or maybe even your competitors. I shouldn't say every day. It could be disruptive, but that's usually the first place you go. Adjacent is, well, maybe with vendors, make them your partners, or people that know your industry, technologies. And then beyond is where the disruptive stuff happens. You're going to partner with NASA, you're going to partner with Novartis, Oprah, whatever. Well, Oprah's very close for you. Okay. And so we did this actually with a group at Novartis, lawyers. And we said, give us your within, adjacent, beyond to transform the legal function. And there was a group at the end of the day, I did this with like 7 or 8 groups in the room, like 7 or 8 pods of 7 people. And the team in the back that was like the Brian with the red wig of the day, he raised his hand and said, I want to share ours. And he said, the thing we came up with for the legal function is within. We want to partner with human resources because we need to hire cooler people. And with marketing, because we have a really bad rap. People think we're the department of no. And that's not right. Okay, that's fair. The second thing they wanted to do, adjacent, is they wanted to partner with cloud companies, right? We needed to stop being all this wet signature stuff. We got to get electronic. We also want to partner with GE's lawyers, because GE's lawyers really know their stuff. They are innovating legal contracts and processes all the time. We can learn a lot from those guys. And the final one, I said, okay, what's your beyond? Facebook and Mick Jagger. And I said, okay, can you explain that a little bit? You know, this guy's 67, I think. And he said, well, Facebook, because to be quite honest, I don't know how to do it. We got to figure it out. I really got to get into the social media thing. And the second one, I said, could you explain Mick Jagger? And he said, what you don't know about me is I am a huge groupie. I love the Rolling Stones. I've been to over 100 shows. People are shocked at this point. And I said, why did you choose him for a partner? And he said, well, I think he could be really good for Novartis, and we could get him on barter, because he could use a lot of our drugs. So that was obvious. That was really kind of obvious, right? Okay, so who would your dream partner be? Think crazy, right? What do they offer you, and what do you offer them? So let me leave you with this, okay? The best way to predict the future is to create it. It is not written in stone. And the thing you need to think about is that change is a choice. You do not have to do it, right? You do not have to do it. But you have to think about, do you want to be the one that's taking orders? Or do you want to be the one that actually is incenting the change? And I think I know the answer for the people here in the room. I can't wait to see it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.